talk about Cryptmaster.
What is Cryptmaster, Greg?
Cryptmaster is a delightfully hard game, I think, to maybe it's so many different things at once, and I feel like audio listeners, you owe it to yourself to look at a trailer for this if you have no idea what Cryptmaster is, right? The way I jotted down my notes to describe it, right, is that it is an old school first person dungeon crawler RPG, except that you're controlling it and attacking it by typing. If you were to glance at it, I think you would get big Typing of the Dead kind of vibes, right? You are entering in words with your keyboard and then hitting the button to enter them in and make it happen in the game. You're controlling with the arrow buttons. You can use a gamepad. You can also do voice control for it. But you can use you're going on basically. Imagine a dungeon grid system with the arrows on your keyboard to move around. You know, you move in, then you do what you want to do. Move in, move, grid by grid, square by square, to advance through this world and rise from your crypt. The idea here is that you have been awakened by the Cryptmaster, who is this head skeleton man talking to you right here, a necromancer. He's awakened the four heroes of old. You are undead. Yeah. You are there. And then the idea is that you ascend from your crypt to the top of the tower to help this necromancer like do some bad things, probably. You know what I mean? But along the way, you get into battles. You learn new attacks. You learn new defenses. You open chests. You solve riddles. You play a card game. And you do it all by typing out words on the screen. You know, for me, this is on our scale an 8 out of 10. This is a great game. But to get all away from that, the word I would use to describe Cryptmaster is ingenious.
Yeah.
I did not fully know what I was signing up for. I saw the typing and was like, oh, that's a Greg game.
Keyboard.
I know. I hate that part of it. Right? I hated having to play at a PC. Steam currently there are not cloud saves, so then it's like I'm asking. Me and Andy are trying to track saves down through, and it's like every Greg Miller PC joke, right, is like coming to life. As I'm like, where is it in the fucking C drive menus? Blah blah blah. But it was, as you look at it, and you hear about it.
Real quick, are there any updates for cloud saves in the future?
When I had hit them up about where they actually store their saves, they said they're working on it. So, yeah. Again, I mean, if you want to...
Yeah, this isn't a situation where you right-click the game in Steam and then go to, like, browse local files.
Yeah, no.
Because the save file is, like, in user local temp low.
No.
And the developer name is, like...
They didn't, yeah. Well,
there's no like Cryptmaster file that the save is in. It's like the developer, like Hart and Williams or some shit.
Yeah. So hysterical. The idea, one of the things about this, I think, of what makes the game so brilliant, so special, so unique to see, and so in line with what we're talking about, right, is that the developer here is Paul Hart and Lee Williams. It's two guys made this game, right? And Akupara is publishing it, but it's like that level of indie. Yeah. And like today's May 9th. We talked about this on Games Daily, right? It's a crazy special day for indies. You have Animal Well, you have Cryptmaster, you have Little Kitty Big City, you have Crow Country, right?
Yeah.
Like there's all these ones.
X Resist apparently.
Yeah, there's all these indies that have dropped today that are like something special. And this game is ingenious, like I said, is the adjective for it. It has so many wonderful ideas in it. And it's crazy to be on the same review as Animal Well, because I have my Greg notebook where I had to go through and take notes and put down things and make my little cheat sheets and start drawing things out and leaving myself numbers and go like... That's what this game is. It is going through doing this in first person. It's black and white. It has this awesome art style to it. You could change the shade if you want, but to a color, but it's still like that black and white, just two-tone monochrome kind of thing, right? And the idea, is going through and typing, which is so much fun because everything you type, with the exception of your attacks, I would say, is a puzzle into itself. The game starts, right? You have woken up, you are these things, and you're coming back online. You know, the Cryptmaster starts giving you chests, but the deal is that he opens the chest, only he can see what's in it, and then you have to type to him, touch, feel, lift, taste, smell, eat. And then you have a certain amount of things. He describes what it tastes like or smells like or whatever, and then you have to guess what it is. In this instance, you would guess, you type it in, you get it right. The letters you used for the word it is then get distributed between your four players like Wheel of Fortune.
Yeah.
So you have these blank tiles underneath your name. They start filling in words there.
The Wordle.
So, exactly.
Wow. I've been describing to people as Wordle meets an adventure game.
That's awesome.
So then you can sit there and just guess as long as you want what the words are. If you get the guess, it would fill in the thing, and then that would become an attack or a defense or just a piece of backstory. And like every character has so many different words and so many different things to do. And it starts off so simple of, right, and I don't want to ruin stuff, it's of an attack, right? But then it becomes the longer ones of like, oh, well, you know, if you did this, your next attack has 2 damage or this, or you can help this person or revive that or do this.
It's all like party based and cooldown based. And so, yeah, like I've been describing it as world meets an adventure game. And it's so, I think Ingenious is like a really good way to put it, because I heard about this game just from Greg mentioning it, I think in one of the meetings of, hey, Cryptmaster's coming out this day. It seems like it could be a really, really big thing. I've seen people talk about it.
Art style reminds me of Inscription quite a bit.
100%.
Yeah, art style kind of has
100%.
that. But then, you know, I had gotten the code from Greg. I started playing it at home, and I was expecting to like maybe play it for an hour, because I had a bunch of games to play and I was spread between all of them, right? I boot up Cryptmaster, start playing it, and I just couldn't stop playing it. I still need to get back to it. I probably played around 4 to 5 hours. How
much did you play, Greg?
I haven't rolled credits yet. I'm 6 hours in when I couldn't get the save thing to work, and then I left my save here last night. I was like, fuck, I was going to finish it. I would say I'm within an hour and a half to 2 hours of finishing it. I would think probably on the shorter end. It came with a walkthrough that I cracked to look at like how many chapters are there, and it's like, oh, okay, it looks like I have one regular chapter and then like the end. So I feel like I'm right there.
But it's so fascinating because the way you essentially level up your characters is by figuring out like what the word is to then get the new abilities. And so you have essentially like 4 wordle problems at the same time that you're solving at all times, and you'll get into fights with a bat or whatever that's in the crypt. And one of the first abilities that I was able to unlock that I'm sure is probably across the board is like hit. Because I had found like, oh, okay, well, H and T were like the first and last letter.
Hat.
So I'm sure, I'm like typing in hot, and I'm like, maybe it's hit. And then I'm like, okay, they're like, now your character has that ability to hit things. And so I'll get into a fight with a bat, and I click hit, and then it's a cooldown, and I have to wait for my turn again. And I click hit again, and I take out the bat, and then I get those, or I get to choose a letter from what the bat was named or whatever.
Yeah, when you defeat an enemy, right, whatever the enemy's name is, you can then, your loot is taking the letter. So, but it is Wheel of Fortune,
That's cool.
so you guess A and it lights up, and then none of your things go. You're like, fuck, there's no A in any of the words I have.
Yeah.
And so again, once you unlock one of the words for these 4 characters, then you get a new word down there. So then it is like, even if you've used A before, obviously it behooves you to do it again if you've been paying attention to try to fill in and do this whole thing.
And you can guess as much as you want too. Like there's not really a limit to it when you're just exploring the world.
Yeah, exactly. So when you're just out and about, if you wanted to just stop and say, okay, this is a 5-letter word and I have a TH in there, I'm going to figure, you could do that if you want to. But again, going to fight an enemy, right, gets you then the ability to pull from their letters to open up more to make the guessing easier.
Right.
And there's also other ways too of like, this is where it gets, this is a blessed game. This is a puzzle poppy game, which I think if I would have heard, it might have kept me away, and I'm glad it didn't, because getting into it and realizing, oh, like this is crazy, because like the chess stuff I think is easy in the front, right? And then as you get going, it does get more like, well, fuck, it's a long cylinder with a fucking tail. What is he talking? You know what I mean?
No,
like going,
that one got me too.
and I was like, okay. And so like you go through and you get, and if you don't get it, he just goes, it couldn't be that important, and shuts it. And you get no letters and you get nothing out of it, right? Now, to the game's credit, there are hints if you want to turn them on. You can get more choices or more guesses for that and help on that. Same thing with these piles of, you'll run into these skulls that are piled up. You go there, the skull will tell you a riddle. And then it is like, you know, it's like you're fucking dealing with the Riddler of like, okay, shit, what is, you know what I mean? Like, you know, there a lot of the riddles are older ones that you've heard somewhere else or whatever. Or if you're like me, you just Google it. Or I'm like, listen, I ain't got time. I'm trying to do a million things in this game right now. I don't need this. But it was like,
wait,
okay.
like that, like they weren't riddles created by the game.
Correct.
They're like kind of
they're riddles that you
general.
Exactly. Yeah,
a doctor.
It's like
a
word
doctor
riddles.
gave birth to somebody.
It was his wife.
It was his wife.
yeah, kind
His
of
wife
shit.
was a doctor. You know.
I was gonna do like the whole like, I forget the God of War Ragnarok, the exact phrasing of it, but like, what do you, not what do you dig? When you keep removing, it only gets bigger. It's like that kind of like
what grows the more you take away from it.
Yeah, what grows the more you take away from it.
Love or something, or your heart.
I thought it was a hole. I forget what it was.
Boner.
It's a hole.
Yeah. It's a hole. Right?
Anyways, you have that, and again, the same thing there, where if you fail enough, it'll ask you, but you could turn it on the options as well. Just turn on like, hey, give me hints or help me out or whatever kind of thing. So like, but you're going through that and you're answering those, and those then fill in your thing. So you go, there's so many words for all these characters that you are constantly going and finding it. The more you get, you'll level up. When you level up, if you want to toss it back up, Barrett, all the character names are there, right? It'll add another letter to the character name, because the character name is your health bar. when you get into battle and you take a hit, one of your letters of one of the character name letters goes away. So Joro could just become Jor, right? And that'd be okay. Well, I've taken one damage or whatever, and of course you can fall and do that. But like
get a character named Benedict Cumberbatch.
Exactly. Getting
big
Cumberbun out there.
One of the things.
This episode's brought to you by Aura Frames. Looking for the perfect gift to celebrate the moms in your life? Aura Frames are beautiful Wi-Fi connected digital picture frames that allow you to share and display unlimited photos. It's super easy to upload and share photos via the Aura app, and if you're giving an Aura as a gift, you can even personalize the frame with preloaded photos and memories. Greg, Kevin, and a ton of people here at Kinda Funny are obsessed with their Aura frames. It takes about 2 minutes to set up a frame using the Aura app. You can add unlimited photos and videos and invite as many people as you want to a frame. Aura displays photos in true color and automatically adjusts for the light level of the room. At night, when you turn off the lights, your frame also turns off to save energy. From grandmothers to new mothers, aunts, and even the friends in your life, every mom would love an Aura frame. Right now, Aura has a great deal for Mother's Day. Listeners can save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $30 off plus free shipping on their best-selling frame. That's auraframes.com and use code KINDAFUNNY at checkout to save. Terms and conditions apply. This episode's brought to you by Shady Rays. Get ready for the season ahead with quality shades built to last. Our friends at Shady Rays have you covered with premium polarized shades that won't break the bank. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company that offers an unrivaled product that's just as good as any expensive pair we've worn. Durable frames and world-class optics for all outdoor adventures. With an extensive array of styles and colors, you're bound to find the perfect pair of Shady Rays sunglasses. Y'all know I've been outside in the sun playing a lot of Pokemon Go, and it's such a great experience wearing Shady Rays when I am out and about looking dope. That's not all. Shady Rays offers the most insane protection in all of eyewear. Every pair of sunglasses is backed by lost or broken replacements. If you lose or break a pair, even on day one, they told us they will send you a brand new pair, no questions asked. Exclusively for you, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Head to shadyrays.com and use code KF20 for $20 off each pair of polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. This episode's brought to you by BetterHelp. We all carry around different stressors, big and small. I'm currently planning a wedding, so I know all about that. But when we keep them bottled up, it can start to affect us negatively. Therapy helps you find your strengths so you can ditch the extreme resolutions and make changes that really stick. You can get out of your negative thought cycles and find some mental and emotional peace, and it can give you the tools to find more balance in your life so you can keep supporting others without leaving yourself behind. Some of my best friends use BetterHelp and love how helpful it can be for learning positive coping skills and how to set boundaries. It empowers you to be the best version of yourself, and it isn't just for those who've experienced major trauma. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapist at any time for no additional charge. Celebrate the progress you've already made. Visit betterhelp.com/kindafunny today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/kindafunny.
I like is when you do get into combat, when you get a bit further into the game, because each character kind of has their own role that they're playing, and so
you're a warrior, a bard, a sea witch, and a thief/assassin.
Yeah, and so I think it's the bard that has abilities that then buff other people's abilities, and so like I'll get into a fight with a bat or like a walking skull or some shit, and it is the first thing I'm like, all right, hit, and I type it in, I'm like, okay, jab, all right, and I'll just type in yell so the bard can like refill the cooldowns of my other characters real quick, so I don't have to wait, and I'm like, all right, cool. Hit, jab, yell. All right, hit again. All right, jab again.
Kick,
like
punch. It's all in your mind.
It really is me typing as fast as possible.
It feels like you're hacking, and there's like a flow state to it where it really is. I'm like, all right, Joro isn't buffed by him doing his thing, so I use Joro. I use the other two people. I go to the bard. He goes, "Sorry." He does this little thing because he's like a zombie or whatever.
Yeah.
Gives them back their thing. Do their attacks again, and you really get going.
Yeah,
but
like
then as you escalate and go with the enemies, right, you start getting into like, okay, well, this guy's got a shield, and on the shield is a B, meaning that if any of your attacks have a B in it, you can't use. That'll be blocked, right? Other things are like, this guy's immune to knockdown, or just this guy can't use letter T words, and like there's all these little things that you get in there where you need alt attacks, you need all this stuff, which is why like my notes are both cheat sheets for words, and then also like me being like, all right, I'm sick of fucking wasting it, and like, did I already guess an I? So I'm like writing it down, but even then it gets kind of muddled.
So you're better than I am, because I would click the same letters over and over. I'm like, oh yeah, certainly this has an eye, and then it'll be like no eye, and I'm like, I guess I before.
And see, that's one of the things, and I want your question in 1 second. That's one of my things that for me brings down the experience is that it's an old school looking game, and I want to even say inspirations of this like dungeon for FPS dungeon crawler, right? In kind of like a severed way. But there's a few quality of life things that I just don't understand why. And I understand it's a small dev team, yada yada yada. But like why they weren't there. Of like, give me something to indicate what I've guessed on these words if I wanted to, right? Like I understand it being. It's just it is frustrating.
That should be part of one of those like quality of life.
Exactly right. Same thing with the map. Like I think I was playing this in a way that was detrimental to it in terms of, all right, cool, it's my afternoon these 2 days at IGN. Kind of funny, right? Where I'm just going to go in the streaming lab and play it there. But that meant like I need to make progress. And so at some point, the style of the game and that black and white, right? It became a little bit grating to be playing so long on. I was just like, I could go for something, and then everything kind of starts to look the same.
Yeah.
And so it would be that thing where I would go get a cup of coffee and then do an email and have a meeting and come back and sit back down.
Black and white.
Sit back down and be like, wait, fuck, did I come in that door or am I going towards, okay, shit. And then there'd be like another time where like I finally solved, like, because not only is there the chest puzzles, the skull puzzles, there's then the narrative you're on where you get to like, oh, how do you open that door? What does this person need from me to do the thing to get MacGuffin? And then it would be that idea of being, I finally get to what I think it is. No, okay, you got the next part of it, but you really need to go talk to this guy that you saw what I feel like was an hour and a half ago. And I'm like, where the fuck was that guy? There's no overworld map. There's local maps, but again, they're very basic. So I was like, shit, where was? And it wasn't hard to find, but it was that moment of like, fuck, I don't know where he is off the top of this. I feel like there's just little things like that could have gone further for me of like, okay, cool. Like it can be as challenging as I want it to be, but it also can be as welcoming as I want it to be.
How would Snowbike Mike experience this game as somebody with a keyboard that doesn't have letters printed on the buttons?
It's gonna struggle.
Tough for him.
It's gonna struggle.
That's where my question goes. You mentioned that there's voice like commands, or I mean, where you can like actually say the words. Like, how does that work?
Yeah,
is that an accessibility thing?
It is an accessibility thing, and one of the warnings they pop up on is this is an accessibility feature. It might not be the best thing in the world, kind of thing. So I didn't even screw with it, but it is there in terms of if you wanted to speak to it. Well, the Cryptmaster makes a joke about it in the front. Game's hilarious. Yeah. The writing is great. The VO is great. The surprises, like you guys are talking about, are great. Like there's a few things where it's like you get to. Not even the boss, you get to the guy or gal you were going to go talk to, right? And it's like, oh, I didn't see this being the thing. Oh, this is a really fun game of trying to finish what you're doing in a very interesting way. I don't want to spoil, right? Like, there's a bunch of that. There's this little cute card game in there. Like, there's so much going on in it in a way that I think every time you think you might have figured it out or like, okay, is this the thing? Like, something happens. Like when I leveled up the first time, I was like, oh, I didn't see that coming. That actually is encouraging me to play a way I wasn't. Because once I feel, at least the way it's been going for me almost at the end of the game now, is that basic attack I was fine with. Like when they get into the, well, if you do this, then that attack that I don't even use will be doing 2 times the damage, but you'd skip it. And I'm like, I'm doing fine. I'm killing
Don't worry about me.
I got a way to break through the armor tile when it pops up because again, the enemy names are also their health bars, right? So you'll see the character's name, but then there'll be a shield in the middle of it, right? So you know you have to use your armor breaker on that. And I was like, okay, cool. I don't need the like this intense thing, but whatever.
Yeah. One of the things I want to shout out is how contextual a lot of the stuff you'll write in is and like how well they account for it. Because you can at any point just write in words, right? Because you're guessing whatever the letters are and the abilities that you want to unlock. And the narrator, the Cryptmaster, will comment on anything that you write. And most of it will be like, oh, I don't know what that is.
Why would you say that?
Why would you say that? Thing, But there are a lot of things where I'm like, all right, maybe it's sword. And he was like, sword? That'd be nice to have right now. And like, there's so much of that where I'm like,
that's awesome.
Damn, that's pretty impressive. And I was telling a friend about that, and they're like, yeah, how do they do that? Like, are they using AI? And I'm like, I don't think they're using AI.
One of my notes, right, is the serotonin hit of, I don't think this will work. Oh shit, it worked. Like that. Yeah. This game's got so much of that where you either on the puzzle take the chance and it works, or you're messing with the dial because like some of the doors are locked and you have to like put yourself in the character who you're trying to get to's head of like what would they do. Those things they don't. I don't want to speak too out of turn at it. I feel like they don't reuse a lot of their things. So like there's one where I'm wandering through and like, what the fuck is with all this shit on the wall? And then you got I'm like, oh, and I ran back and I'm looking and taking notes on what's on the wall. You know what I mean? Like, but then I'm on patrol for that as I play other stuff, and it wasn't really happening the same way. And I'm like, that's really smart about it. Like they do a really great job of keeping you invested, entertained, even when you are sitting there going, what the fuck do I need to do?
Yeah.
Like there's one section where it's like you get to a little island and it's like, oh, well, we got to figure all this out. And like he's playing I Spy. And the first ones I got so easy. And then it was like, this one begins with R. And I'm like, rock. No. The shit else is in rock. You know what I mean? Like, no.
God.
Is it a cap sensitive? What the fuck?
Yeah, I think there's like a lo-fi aspect to it. You're talking about how like it can feel indie, and which almost makes it.
This sounds like the most indie game ever made. Like,
It makes like the contextual aspect of it really impressive. But yeah, you listen to the voice acting, and I'm like, are you using a computer mic? Like this? It's not like the most like not the best voice acting I ever heard. But it fits because everything kind of feels that way. Like even the art style is very unique, and they go for it in the art style. But it is also, I think, like Greg was alluding to before, it's hard to look at sometimes. Like I'll see the characters, I'm like, it's an ugly looking character, but it's purposely ugly. But I'm also like, ooh, I also don't like looking at it all the time at the same time. But so much of it feels like I don't know if you guys remember or if you guys used Newgrounds back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
And you would find like an Ingenious game on Newground where it's like, oh, there is a lot of promise here. Like whoever made this Flash game has like a lot of good ideas. It almost feels like that where you can tell it's a small team, but it's a small team that's really smart and really like understands the vision that they have, and we're able to kind of see it through in a way that fit within their means. And it's a game that I would recommend. Like I think if any of this sounds interesting to you, or if you're somebody that's just looking for something different or weird to play, I was shocked by how much it pulled me in the first hour once I realized what was going on.
And again, like I said, a lot of different accessibility things with the hints and whatever, but it's also like they recommend you playing real time. But if you're not the best typer or whatever, you can set it over to turn based, so you can take your time, do it. There's an option in there to turn on predictive text, so you could start writing and it would kind of fill it in for you or whatever. Like there's a bunch of stuff in there to make this approachable.
Have you tried the controller?
No, I never did. Of course, PCs are weird, so I didn't have one plugged in. I was like, I don't want to.
So that's my question to you, Greg. Is like, what drew you to this game? Was it the art style? Was it the fact that you like Wordle? Like, because this
it's
feels
the fact that I like Wordle. I like word puzzles
Okay.
like that. Yeah. Like I like those kind of things. I've been playing Wordle here and there again in the New York Times app, and so it was like this popped up. I was at Barrett showed the trailer that it had the IGDF awards in the front. I was at that, and so when they won, I was like, oh right, I remember when this game had one of those moments where like I forget what it was.
We saw it somewhere, yeah.
It popped up and everyone's like, oh, it looks rad. And then I kind of forgot about it, and then it won an award this year at GDC, and I was like, oh shit, fuck, I got this on my Open Critics team, and then I got to get over there. There's no Open Critic page as of right now.
I saw that.
Fix it. I don't know who Open Critic. I don't know if you're watching how to fix it. If a chat knows, fix it. Nick, fix it. Fix it.
Nick fixed it.
He said he'd fix it, audio listeners.
But yeah, it stood out to me that way, and I was like, I like Wordle. I love this setting. Again, like a horror RPG-ish. And I use RPG so lightly. It really is like unlocking new words, which I guess is leveling, and then opening up and leveling up and getting. Come on. How do you get an Open Critic page?
Greg's fucked.
Well, there you go. That's been Animal Wall. That's been Cryptmaster.
Yeah.
2 game reviews in one episode. Let us know in the comments below, how excited are you to play these games? Have you already been playing them? Let us know your thoughts below. Until next time, of course, remember this has been Kind of Funny Gamescast. Each and every weekday, we get together to talk about the biggest reviews, previews, and topics in video games live on YouTube, Twitch, and on podcast services around the globe. If you love what we do, support us with the Kind of Funny membership on Patreon or YouTube to get all of our shows ad-free, watch Score Them live, and get a daily exclusive show. Enjoy Nick's Pokemon Nuzlocke next, right after this, if you're watching on Twitch or YouTube. You can catch today's KFGD on YouTube or podcast services as well. And know that until next time, it's been our pleasure to serve you.